Today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Zerg versus Terran on Winter's Gate LE. Winter's Gate, I mean, it's one of those maps with the big slowing bubbles that are set up all throughout it. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I don't really enjoy playing on this map myself very much, but so far, the pro games that I've seen at this level of play have been really sick, so let's go ahead and dive into it, spawning here in the top left-hand corner. Playing with the red Zerg drones from South Korea, we are looking inside of the main base of Impact. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, likewise also from South Korea, we have none other than Cure. Now, about a month or so ago, I actually casted a game between these two players as well. At the time, Cure was the one who came out ahead. There's no denying that both of them, though, have become really good. And you guys know, I'm starting to low-key become a bit of a Cure fanboy. I mean, he's one of those players, and I know I've said this like a dozen times already, but he's one of those players who just really does not get the attention that he deserves. As of me making the video, he's a rank 5 on the planet. He's a rank 5 on the planet. Yet he hasn't really won a whole lot of premier events. But if you look on his Ultralisk ranking, basically it's a website that keeps track of all of the statistics of StarCraft 2. It keeps track of all of the professional games that are being played both online and offline. And then it awards a ranking to each player. If you look at that ranking for Cure, it's ridiculous. Like, the man is peaking hard, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think he's going to be able to go to BlizzCon in 2019, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be one of the main players to look out for going into 2020. Now, likewise for Impact, actually, he hasn't really won a whole lot of premier events. I remember he got a DreamHack second place many years ago, actually, and I know he retired at some point as well after the whole match-fixing scandal when a couple of the Korean pro gaming teams actually pulled away from StarCraft 2. They decided to not sponsor any of the teams anymore. Now, Impact, likewise, has also been growing steadily in 2019. Curious to see what he's going to look like in 2020. But before we talk about it anymore, let's go ahead and see what this game is all about. This is already a little bit curious. Generally speaking, right, we see this base over here as the third. At least that's the one that I've been taking in the majority of my games. Nice little bit of micro there from Cure. You will be able to deny that drone from planting down the third. And I guess this is gonna delay the expansion for Impact for just a little while longer. Obviously not the end of the world, but honestly at this level of play, losing a single drone is already relatively uncommon. It's not really a thing that we see all too often, just because these players are so freaking good at just simply microing all of these units. If I can hypothesize for a little bit, I think the reason why he's taking this base over here rather than the one in the center is because of that big slowing bubble. I've seen a whole lot of Terran timing attacks where they decide to put siege tanks over here, or sometimes even inside of that bubble, and then they can push back and forth while dropping Marines right behind the rocks and then picking them up when Zergs get close, and then the siege tanks are shooting away, and it gets a little bit messy. I think that may very well be the reason why Impact has decided to take the expansion on the low ground right over here instead. This leads into this much more wide open space. Also relatively easy to attack into, I guess. I mean, siege tanks over in these two locations would not be bad either, but they're not going to, at the very least, be able to reach the hatchery from there. Just a standard 1-1-1 opener right here from Cure. He is going to follow it up with a very quick third command center. So there's a couple of different ways you can play 1-1-1. Obviously, there's a variety of units you can create as well. But oftentimes we see two broad differences. So you can go either one barracks, one factory, one starport immediately, or you can go one barracks, one factory, third command center starport. This is technically speaking a little bit greedy, but Impact in this game has no plans on playing all too aggressive, at the very least judging by what he's built so far. I mean, that's a 4-minute Roach Warren, really nothing too crazy there. I mean, the Roach Warren at the 4-minute mark usually indicates you just want to play safe, right? If you were to go, though, for, say, like a 3.5-minute Roach Warren, so a 330 Roach Warren with, like, a second gas geyser, he could actually push across the map really aggressively, and he would probably be able to deal quite a bit of damage because he would be able to hit before a second Banshee would be out. Now, speaking of Banshees, Cure is going to go for a single one. I think the reason why he's actually skipping out on that Viking right now as well is just because he knows he already is pretty late here. And even though he doesn't really know exactly what his opponent is going for, he does want to be safe. Okay, so he is going to transition right now towards that very standard Cure-esque style. And this is what I personally really enjoy, okay? We have a little bit of a back and forth over here. I don't think Cure is going to lose any of these units. I don't think a whole lot of drones will go down either. Are there any spores, by the way? Ooh, at this point, there's no spores. Luckily for the Zerg here, there's actually also no cloaking upgrade for these Banshees. So, I mean, for this Banshee, rather. We'll see if he's going to be able to deal a little bit of damage. But anyways, he's going to be able to get the kill on one of these Hellions. Nothing too crazy, though. Anyways, so the style that Cure plays reminds me a little bit of Maru. However, arguably, I've been more impressed by the way that Cure is playing recently than Maru, which is crazy to say. I know, that's like a little bit of a controversial thing to say just because, well, Maru is considered to be the best Terran on the planet. But there's no denying that Cure really has a similar playstyle where he does a stupid amount of multitasking. So oftentimes what he does is he just attacks at like 2, 3, sometimes even 4 different places at once. He drops all over the place and he deals a stupid amount of damage just because he's trying to get that tempo advantage, right? So he's one of those players who will not just simply transition towards a late game army, but if he can, he will actually stick around on bio the whole game long to simply play Marine Marauder Medevac with maybe some siege tanks or Widow Mines or something like that, but he will just start piling on the pressure. And here we go. This is Cure's bread and butter right here. This is his sweet spot. This is where he starts loading up those medevacs and where he starts building that tempo. Now, that's exactly what Maru is very good at as well. I mean, obviously, Maru won a couple of GSL Code S's in a row, not even that long ago, but recently he's having a bit of a harder time. And I feel like Cure has really been rising up nicely over the last couple of months especially. So I'm excited to see what it's going to look like in 2020 especially. So here we go. Very successful scan there already, right? Like, that hurts the Zerg player quite a bit. All of the creep on that side of the map completely gone. Now, by the way, as far as the Zerg's expansions go, he's actually gonna expand in a vertical line down. Pretty interesting. A couple of Zerglings will get caught right there by that Hellion. Drops inside of the main base. Is he gonna target the Bane? Of course he targets the Bane. He's gonna be able to get on out of there. Nicely done. Nicely done. So the thing about these drops is that if you execute them very well, you pretty much always get a favorable trade, right? So resources lost usually will go pretty heavily in favor of Terran, as long as Terran does not miss micro. Look at, by the way, these upgrades right here on the right-hand side of the screen. This is how in sync these two players are. Even though they don't really know exactly when the opponent starts up the Evo chambers, or in the case of the Terran, when the engineering base start up, they still line up really nicely. +2/+2 starts up immediately here for Impact. He also does go for that Baneling Nest upgrade. He needs to be careful though, because this is going to be the first real big push here from Cure. He's trying to scan ahead right now, trying to get rid of some of that creep. Baneling speed is going to finish up in about 15 seconds, and Centrifugal Hooks is very important here. Question is, where does Cure want to engage? Yeah, okay, he's instead gonna go on the left-hand side. He hasn't seen this 4th base yet, but he knows it's not taken in the center, so I think he can just simply figure out here that indeed the creep is also gonna indicate that an expansion is taken there. Now, this is a spot, though, where Zerg can certainly surround. Ooh, siege tanks are still sieging up. The Banelings are gonna roll into the tanks, though, and that does mean that this bio army should be able to deal quite a bit of damage. At the same time, the Zerglings are pushing forward through the center of the map. Cure, though, with reinforcing units, is gonna be able to defend that just fine. That right now means that the Zerglings are gonna have to come from the back instead. They're gonna be able to pick up that siege tank immediately. Question is, though, will that expansion live? I think it will, because the Queens right now join in as well, and they're gonna be able to force these medevacs to go on home. It's gonna be a switch right now towards Drilling Claws. So we will be having a switch right now from siege tanks into Widow Mines. Now, oftentimes, Widow Mines are pretty weak against especially Ultralisks. But when you show a lot of siege tanks, like we've seen so far by Cure, generally speaking, Zerg doesn't really want to go into Ultralisk because, well, obviously, siege tanks are really, really good against Hydras. So I wouldn't be surprised right now if Impact decides to stick around on Ling Bane and tech up towards, yeah, indeed, that really quick Hive. Maybe go up to Ultralisks. He's gonna have some trouble, though, dealing with those Widow Mines. 3 of them are being produced here at once. Okay, so it all comes down right here to that multitasking, right? Cure is trying to deny creep, deny economy, deny some of these bases. And in the meantime, obviously, Zerg is gonna have to defend until they get themselves all of those upgrades. Now, Baneling once again gets target fire down there. And this is what I mean, man. This deals so much damage to Zerg. Well, he's gonna have to get him out of there. Beautiful pickup once again. At the same time, though, a couple of Zerglings were dropped inside of that main base. He's like, you know what? If you can drop in medevacs, I'll go ahead and drop with an Overlord instead. Looks like the Overlord won't be able to get on out of there. The Zerglings probably won't either, although there were a couple of them burrowed. Was he paying attention? He was! Nicely done. It will be spotted, and Cure is going to be able to get rid of those, but he did lose 6 SCVs in the process. 4th Command Center, though, only just now being acquired, right? So remember, yeah, a lot of damage was done over here, and that's fine and all. A couple of workers were killed, and that's all fine and dandy, too. But there's still 80 workers out for Zerg, and he can easily max out from this position. There's an Infestor coming up right now. I would love to see the Ultralisk Cavern here, as well as Adrenal Glands pretty quick. Oh, Widow Mines do get picked off, but some of them still do stay alive. Once again, scan right there, confirming the exact position of all of these creep tumors. And this is where that tempo really becomes crazy. Lings and Banes rolling towards that 3rd base. Reinforcing Terran units once again are going to have to try and pick all of this up. Nice little bit of control there from Cure. Lings will be killed. And at the same time, there's an army dropping in the bottom left-hand corner. And a big Terran force going through the center. Looks like only 2 SCVs there were killed, but a couple of Zerglings did manage to get the burrow off as well. Cure once again scanning ahead, going to be able to burrow those Widow Mines in really solid positions. Is he going to move with the army in the bottom left as well? Or is he going to wait for a little while? Looks like he's going to wait right now. Good splits there for Impact. Going to negate some of that damage that these Widow Mines would otherwise do. And you know what? This is what Terran wants, right? Zerg moving off creep. These Banes are so much easier to micro against when you're fighting them off creep in particular. Looks like the Widow Mines right there, though, deal more damage to the Terran than the Zerg. And once again, Cure is going to have to pick up and get on out of there. And you know what? In the grand scheme of things, yeah, a lot of damage was done. Yeah, Zerg has been taking more losses. But there's no denying that he's also been mining more, right? Only just now is when that 4th Command Center is going to be secured here for Cure. That's very late, right? He basically wanted to win with the 2-2 upgrades. And now he's going to be forced to play a little bit of a later stage of this game. So 3-3 right now is coming up. Ultralisk Cavern coming up on the other side of the map as well. And we do finally see the +3 upgrades here as well for Impact. Army in the bottom left-hand corner. Ooh, there you go. Will be picked up. But it's a good defense once again from Impact. So what Impact is trying to do right now, he's just simply trying to grow, okay? He knows he's playing very defensively, but as soon as 3-3 finishes up, he's going to be able to start dealing a lot more damage. Now, there's one hero Infestor, crossing its little fingers, its toes and everything, hoping that there's not a missile turret over here, acting as a defensive detector. Oh, man. He could land such a beautiful fungal, but it does absolutely nothing. That's one brave Infestor, man. Also a bunch of blind Terran units there. Okay, here we go. There he is. There he is. Oh, actually, you know what? I was expecting there was going to be a much bigger fungal than that. That was actually not even that interesting. Those medevacs are like, yeah, fine. We'll just heal through it. Could have been so much. Could have been so much. So that now means I think that this base will end up getting picked off. In the meantime, though, a base was also killed in the bottom left-hand corner. Looks like most of those Marines will also get picked off, but that's 2 hatcheries at the cost of just a couple of Marines. And on the back of this, 4th Command Center has been acquired. 5th one is also being constructed. Ultralisks are coming up right now. Ultras are going to make pushing back this Terran army way easier. Basically, Terran is already making more Marauders right now than they ideally would want to. He would love to be more Marine-focused, but you are not going to be able to fight that Ultralisk army with just Marines and Medivacs. Ideally, though, you also want to go up to Liberators and maybe even Ghost, just to try and counter those Ultralisks a little bit easier. I mean, he hasn't seen them yet. Oh, dude! Oh, that's the new skin! I haven't seen that yet. Well, it's the new old skin. It's the one from StarCraft 1. Oh, that looks sick. I haven't actually seen that yet in game. So this is the StarCraft 1 skin that they had back in the day, but here we go. Are they going to be able to fight? Not yet. They're not nearly as quick as the StarCraft 1 Ultras, though. StarCraft 1 Ultras are basically as fast as Zerglings once they get their speed upgrade. Well, here we go. They're going to have to fight right now. No transition from Cure, though, so he's going to stick around on just those bio-based units. This is what he feels most comfortable with, but if Impact manages to hold on for long enough, he's going to be in a lot of trouble, because just Marines and Marauders won't cut it against, for example, like Ultralisks and Infestors, right? Or like a bunch of Vipers added into the mix as well. There we go. 3-3 is coming up. We see the Anabolic Synthesis upgrade as well here for Impact. That's the Ultralisk speed upgrade. Makes them a little bit quicker off creep. Not quite as fast as the Ultralisk in StarCraft 1, but man, look at these things, though. They are badass, right? I'm a big fan of these classic skins. Maybe it's a little bit of nostalgia, though. But that is a cool-looking skin. Alright. Well, Widow Mines, oh god. These Widow Mines, oh, good splits, actually. Dude, Impact doing a great job splitting there. I thought he was going to actually lose all of his army just to a couple of those Widow memes. It's a minefield, though, literally. Ultra's taking a lot of damage. Most of them have barely any HP remaining. There's actually Corruptors now coming up here for Impact. currently being utilized there, I guess, to kill Medivacs, but I think they would normally come into play here to kill off the potential of Liberators. Impact, though, standing his ground right now, right? And that's what these top-level Terran players do so very well. Like, they don't kite backwards right now, right? So it's super tempting at this point to kite backwards, but he only really kites when he needs to. Like, you don't want to kite just for the sake of kiting, right? Like, ideally, you want to stand your ground so you deal maximum damage. But if you just stand your ground when you know you're going to win a fight, you're not going to lose too much in the process. It's pretty sick. Okay, so Impact is actually starting to fall apart here. Cure has been laying down the law for like the last, I don't know, 9 minutes? I think he started this drop play at like the 6-minute mark, and he's been doing relentless aggression ever since. Now, the fight over here, though, on the northern section of the map has been going on for a couple minutes already as well. The base still lives. This is essentially Impact's lifeline right now. He needs to try and keep this one alive. Once again, great target firing right there on those Marines. They managed to get rid of the Overseer, and that means that these Widow Mines are likely to get another shot in. Now, the Marauder, or rather the Spore Crawler now, is gonna unburrow and move a little bit forward. So there we go. Finally, Impact manages to get rid of a bunch of those Widow Mines that have been dealing so much damage to him. But still, these Ultras, they're darting back and forth. Cure is trying to bait his opponent off of creep, and that's exactly what is happening right now. Impact is losing so much money. And Cure, in the meantime, secure the 5th, secure the 6th. He's just gonna continue expanding his influence on this map, and Impact has been up with his back against the wall against this hyper-aggressive Terran style. I love watching this. Like, this is such a difficult style of Terran to play. If you think it's easy, right? I can imagine there's gonna be some salty Zerg players watching this. Give it a try. You'll lose all your Marines to like 2 Banelings. You're like, oh man, this sucks. It's such a difficult style to play. Oh man, yeah, you see this? Like, you can see that Impact is kind of falling apart mentally. Cure is the one apparently who obtains the victory here, but near the end of that, he started making a whole bunch of desperation attempts, right? He set up some surrounds, he started fighting off creep, but Cure just simply embraced it, and he absolutely hit his opponent into about 1 million different little pieces. I hope you enjoyed watching this game. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your generosity. If you're interested in supporting the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.